On this channel, I upload English listening videos for different levels every day. You can improve your English by listening. If you're ready, let's begin. I moved to Marseille in late September, when the sea still looked like summer, but the evenings already smelled of rain. After 10 years in Lyon, I told myself I wanted a clean restart. A new job at a small architecture firm, a smaller apartment. Fewer habits that belonged to my old life. The place I found was on Rue des Trois Moulins, a narrow street that climbed toward the hills and always seemed louder than it should have been. On my first night, as I carried boxes up the stairs, my neighbor opened her door and watched me struggle without offering help. She was about my age, maybe early 30s, with short dark hair and an expression that looked like it had been trained to stay neutral. "You're blocking the stairs," she said in a calm voice. "I'm sorry," I replied, slightly breathless. "I'm Leah." After a pause, she nodded. "Nora." That was all, but the next morning there was a note slid under my door. "The tap in the kitchen leaks if you turn it too far left. Don't flood the building." It wasn't friendly exactly, but it was useful, and I decided that counted for something. 2 weeks later, on a Saturday evening, I was walking home from the office with my headphones in, and my mind still full of half-finished plans. A storm had passed quickly, leaving the pavement shiny and uneven, and the streetlights made small rivers in the gutters. As I turned the corner near a closed bakery, I noticed something dark near the curb. It was a wallet. I picked it up, expecting it to be empty, but it was heavy. Inside there were bank cards, a folded train ticket, and a thick stack of cash that made my stomach tighten. The ID card said, Samir Ben Ali. There was also a small photo of a boy holding a football, his smile wide enough to feel like a message. For a few seconds I simply stood there, listening to my own breathing. I wasn't desperate, but my savings had taken a hit with the move, and my first paycheck would come late. The idea appeared quietly, as if it belonged there. No one saw you. You could keep the money, return the cards later, and no one would know. Then I imagined being the person who lost it, searching pockets, checking streets, feeling the slow panic of realizing the world wasn't going to stop and help. I slipped the wallet into my bag and walked faster, as if my decision might evaporate if I didn't act. At home, I looked for the address on the ID. It was only 5 streets away. Still, I hesitated before leaving again. The building's hallway was silent except for a distant TV. I was locking my door when Nora stepped out, keys in hand. "You look like you're hiding something," she said. "I found a wallet," I answered, and immediately regretted how guilty it sounded. "A wallet? With cash?" I blinked. "How do you—" "Because people don't look like that when they find a library card." She exhaled, then added, "Be careful. If it's a lot of money, someone might come looking for it." The way she said it made me think she wasn't warning me as a friend. She was warning me as someone who knew the street. "I'm returning it," I said. Nora's face didn't change, but her voice softened slightly. "Good. Just don't do it alone at night." I almost told her it was only 5 streets away, that I was an adult, that I didn't need instructions. Instead, I said, "Come with me?" She paused long enough that I prepared myself for a refusal. Then she nodded once. "Fine." We walked together through damp air that smelled of wet stone and fried food from a late-night snack shop. When we reached the address, it wasn't an apartment building like mine. It was a small music bar with a dark window and a sign that said, Le Phare Bleu. A man was outside, packing cables into a case. He looked up sharply when we approached, as if expecting trouble. I took out the wallet. "Are you Samir Ben Ali?" His shoulders dropped in a way that was almost painful to watch. "Yes," he said, and his voice shook, despite his effort to keep it steady. "Where did you—" "I found it near the bakery on the corner," I replied. "Everything should be inside." He opened it with quick fingers, checking the ID, the cards, the cash. His relief was immediate, but it didn't make him cheerful. Instead, he looked up at me and swallowed. "That money is for my son's school trip," he said. I was paid tonight, and I thought I'd put it in my pocket if I had lost it. He didn't finish. Behind me, Nora shifted her weight, and I could feel her attention sharpen. Samir added, "Thank you. Seriously, people don't usually bring it back." I almost didn't, I admitted, surprised by my own honesty. But it didn't feel like mine. Samir gave a short laugh that sounded more like a release than a joke. "If you ever come here, tell them you returned my wallet. I'll make sure you don't pay for drinks." As we walked home, Nora stayed quiet until we reached our building. Then she said, without looking at me, "Most people would have kept the cash." "I know," I replied. "Would you have?" She hesitated, and for the first time, her neutral expression cracked. "A month ago maybe," she said softly. "I needed money for something stupid and urgent. But seeing his face just now, I'm glad it wasn't me who found it." In the hallway, she stopped at her door. "You did the right thing, Leia," she said, as if the words cost her. Later, lying in my new apartment, I listened to the rain return, tapping the window with patience. Marseille still felt unfamiliar, still a place where I didn't know who I was going to become. I felt like the city had offered me a choice, and I had answered in a way I could live with. Thank you for listening and practicing English with us. If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe to the channel, and share it with your friends.